Hello everyone, hope you all are fine. Today let's learn about how to measure the speed and the distance time graph. In last class we have learned about the definition of speed. Speed is the distance covered by an object in a unit time. We can write speed is equal to total distance covered divided by the total time taken. Once you know the speed of an object, you can find the distance moved by it in a given time. Okay, distance covered, we can calculate distance covered if you know the speed and time. Similarly, you can also find the time an object would take to cover a distance while moving with a given speed. From the equation, time taken is equal to distance divided by speed. That is, if you know the distance and the speed, we can calculate the time taken to complete or to cover that distance. You might have seen a meter fitted on top of a scooter or a motorcycle. Similarly, these meters can be seen on the dashboards of cars, buses and other vehicles. Do you know what it is? It is a speedometer. Do you know the purpose of speedometer? It records the speed directly in kilometer per hour. So the speedometer is the device which records the speeds directly in kilometer per hour. There is another instrument that we can see on the dashboards of car, buses, etc. This is called as odometer. This measures the distance moved by the vehicle. Okay, this is known as odometer. Odometer is the instrument used for measuring the distance travelled by a vehicle. Let us see an example. Here is the odometer reading of a bus at different times of the journey. At time 8 am, the odometer reading was 36,540 km. That means the distance is 0 km from the starting point. At 8:30 am, the odometer reading was 36,560 km and the distance was 20 km. That means that bus had travelled 20 km from the starting point. Similarly, we can calculate the distance at 9 am, 9:30 am, 10 am and so on. Using this tabular form, using this table, how can you calculate the speed? This odometer gives only the distance moved by the vehicle. Then how can you calculate speed? You know that the equation to calculate speed. Speed is equal to distance divided by time. Using that equation, you can calculate the speed at 8 am, 8:30 am, 9 am and so on. If we want to calculate how much distance the bus had travelled at 8:15 am, how can you do that? How will you find? That means this table gives the information about the distance moved by the bus only at some definite time intervals. Using this table, using this value, we cannot calculate how much distance that bus traveled at 8:15 a.m. or at 9:15 a.m. Only one way to solve this problem is to plot a distance time graph. Before going to explain the distance time graph, let's learn about what is graph. It is a pictorial representation of the data, or it is a diagram that shows the relationship between two different quantities. There are different types of graphs. First one is bar graph. It is a graphical display or graphical representation of data using bars of different height. Here is one example. This bar graph shows the runs secured or runs scored by a team in each over. Then second type of graph is pie chart. It's a type of graph that represents data in a circular graph. This is an example of pie chart. This shows the composition of air. Third type is line graph. It is a type of chart which displays information as a series of data points. The distance time graph is a line graph. This is an example showing the change in weight of a man with age. Now let's learn about distance time graph. It's a line graph. As you can see in the picture, it is a line graph. Here time is taken along x-axis and the distance in kilometer is taken along y-axis. If the distance time graph is a straight line, it indicates that the object is moving with a constant speed. On the other hand, if the speed of the object keeps changing, the graph can be of another shape. As you can see in this picture, these graphs are of different shape. That means distance time graph can be of any other shape, depends on the speed of or the distance of that vehicle.